What's up, my guy?
What's up, my guy? How we doing today?
Good. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. For those of you who don't know, this is my guy Eric.
Hey, yo.
Please just give us a little brief description of what you do. Eric has a lot of jobs, but he has one that's really interesting that I feel like a lot of people, at least from where we come from,
Exactly.
don't know about, don't think about a profession to get into. What? Just give us a little brief description.
All right. So my name's Eric Blair. I pretty much write comics. So sometimes it's a shocker to people when a black guy from like Hoaz, North Philly, writing comics. But yeah, I write comics. My website's name is mylifeantics.com. I've been writing comics, I want to say since 2004, 5.
Oh, shit.
But I really been like heavily writing comics since 2014, like with my own, website and brand.
So that's like high school turtleneck days. You've been writing like comics since you were like one of those kids like what's the guy who wrote everything? Stan Lee?
Yes.
You were like Stan Lee, like making comic books back in the day?
Crazy, no. It's crazy because, all right, so how I got into comics was my mom. Okay. My mom and grandma. My grandma was pretty much, she was a cleaner or a maintenance woman at like just an office building downtown. Yep. So she used to bring me home comics every night. She used to bring me home like Spider-Man, Batman. So
you fuck with Static?
So yes, so she used to bring me this stuff home, so I was starting reading it, and then my mom, she was working at Rite Aid part time, and she like came home to me, was like, "Yo, there's this cartoon named X-Men, like, and I think you'll like," and so I was like, "All right, I don't got nothing else to do on Saturdays."
How old were you? X-Men is old as hell. Like
I was 8. I was 8. I was 8. I remember the exact Saturday when I first saw the first episode of X-Men.
I don't remember anything from past like 15 or 13. But all right, cool.
So yeah, so my mom introduced me to X-Men. So I was like, yo, this is like fucking amazing. Can I curse, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Wow. So, but yeah, I was like, yo, this is fucking amazing.
You asking.
Yeah, I had to. I don't want to just like be cursing. And motherfuckers like, yo, what the fuck is wrong, bull? But yeah, she introduced me to X-Men. And pretty much like from there, I was just like, yo, this is amazing. Like, I want to do this. Like the feeling I felt as a kid, I wanted to give that to other people.
That's dope.
So I was just like, man, like my goal was always want to write comics as a kid. Okay. But then girls came into play, and I kind of like just
you let girls sidetrack you.
Yeah.
See, that's the downfall of a lot of men. These women really mess us up. You got to do better. But then you figured your life out.
I figured my life out. I was
How long did that take?
I was about 17.
I'm just messing with you.
I was 17. I was at one of my good friend's father's house. He was like into comics. Cool. And like, I remember like picking up like Ultimate X-Men. And I was like, yo, like, this is what's been going on with comics since I haven't been reading it since I was like 10.
Right.
So I stole. Like, all right, I'm not gonna say I stole. I borrowed. It's a solid borrowed. I borrowed all his issues. Right. I just never gave him back. I don't even think.
Oh, gotcha. So you legit stole.
I borrowed. I'll give him back to him someday.
He stole them, y'all.
So I read through them and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is really good. And
like the actual content is good.
Yeah, because I used to storyline.
Like I used to be an artist when I was a kid. So for me, I used to like literally just draw the people like Goku and them. Like I used to just draw them on like backpacks and stuff. But I never read the content. Like it's crazy to me that you actually like I didn't realize people actually like. You got into the content.
Yes,
you fucked with the stories.
The storylines. Like for me, like it's not even just comics in general. Like I've read a lot of literary, like amazing books. Some like my top 5 amazing novels are in no order is Autobiography of Malcolm X. Okay. The Che Guevara. The Autobiography of Che Guevara. Let me see. Native Notes from James Baldwin. Okay. What else? The Alchemist. That's one amazing book that changed my life. Yeah. And Dante's Inferno. So it's like
a lot of like heavy books.
Yeah.
Too.
So reading that, I always wanted to put that into comics. I always wanted to say, hey, I want to make the everyday person to want to read comics or whatever. Like, because when people think about comics, they always think about, oh, this is for kids. This is cartoon.
100%.
Exactly. So I want people to see, like, no, this is like a piece of literature. So whereas though one of the like most amazing comic books, I believe they won the Pulitzer, was named Mouse, and it's spelled Musa. And it was a book. It was a book about pretty much Nazis, and the mice were Jewish people. The cats or dogs were Nazis, and it's like. It was a great literary work, and a lot of comic book
propaganda back in the day.
This actually came out, I believe, in the 2000s. This book came out in 2000s.
Okay,
like a book like Watchmen. Watchmen is considered one of the greatest comics.
Watchmen is fire.
It is. It is. And so like I always wanted to go forward with creating comics with that type of this air or just that type of attitude with just saying, hey, I'm going to create a comic that where the everyday person can pick up and say, I can relate to that. Dope. Or, hey, I want to, I like that type of story because you, as a black kid from North Philly, these were the stories we're getting.
You're the black Harry Potter.
All right.
All right. Black Harry Potter.
I'm magical.
I said it. No, I'm thinking about Rawlings, and I'm thinking about what she did with Harry Potter. Is like she literally created these massive books for kids that like I never read any of the Harry Potter books, but my brother read every single one of them straight through. And to me, like, yeah, cool, Harry Potter, but maybe because I was like a senior, like I don't know where I was in high school, but like to me, I was like, I don't want to read about this kid like doing magical things. That's beautiful, but like that's not for me.
I never watched one Harry Potter movie.
Exactly, but I think that's dope. She's a billionaire.
She is. Yes.
So once you become a billionaire,
I got you. I'm here, yo.
My man.
So my journey, it was like a crazy journey. Cool. I want to say like one of my close, really good friends was like my mentor. He kind of like, we met at a job and he kind of like was like, hey, I'm into, of course he's white. So he was like, hey, I'm into Comic Cons. I like comics and stuff. So he took me to these Comic Cons and I'm meeting these writers, these pretty much artists and talking to them and just like, all right, yo, this is something I can do.
This is something I want to do.
And the one day it clicked for me, I'll never forget. I was like in my apartment in my early 20s and reading a comic and I literally like read it and I'm like, yo, this shit is whack. Like this is fucking horrible. I can write a better comic than this. And then
I'm gonna write my own comics.
And that's what happened. And that's exactly what happened. Like I wrote my own comics. I remember I used to be dedicated. I used to sit up like fucking all night and like have 3 hours of sleep and go to work. And I'm just writing the scripts on top of scripts. And like to the point where though now where I'm at in my life, I can go back into a lot of my vault or archives and just be like, all right, I can pick this story and make this a comic now.
I'm ready for this now.
Exactly.
That's dope. So where did you go from there? You realize, I can write a better comic to actually being able to put together a comic book. Who do you get to put it out? Who do you get to illustrate? Like there's so many steps in between.
It's a lot of steps. So my first experience of really writing independent comics was my same friend / mentor. He put me on with this young lady that was working out in California. She was working for this random, now it's not even like a comic book company anymore, but she was working for this comic book company and it was putting out this book called Hip Hop Chronicles. And of course, because I'm black, and they was like, hey, we need a black
This is for you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So they tasked me, he passed a good word to her. It was like, hey, Eric is writing comics. Like he's really good at it. Like, you should check them out.
Right.
So she came to me and was like, hey, here, we got this story here. What you think? This is the premise. Give us a script. Yeah. And I did. And like they ended up paying me. Like the shit was the wildest thing.
I can make money doing what I love.
And that's what happened. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was like, I'm at the point like I'm just happy to do it.
Right.
So to see like, I'm getting money from this.
Your passion.
All right. This is wild. Yep. So I pretty much like that was my first start into just independent comics.
So then when did you meet the guy who could package your own comic and then illustrate it?
So that was a journey. So before I even got there, I like pretty much like for years, I kind of like, I was writing comics, but on my own, like just kind of just writing and preparing. Because I believe in pretty much being ready, so you'll never have to get ready.
I like that.
So if like
spring training in the winter.
Exactly. So if like Marvel comes to me today and say, yo, I want you on X-Men. Here you go. I got a 5-year X-Men like storyline already. 5 to probably 10 years.
I can be an X-Men. I'm just saying, I can't act. You know what I mean? Put me in the movie. Put a beat on. I'm like, put me in here. Put me in.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. So pretty much like what built up to there, like I had friends that like just always had friends that had websites. Okay. And like my one friend from DC was like, hey, you know, you always sending me pirate music. You're always sending us like just random new music. Yeah. Hey, do you want to do a music column? So I was like, all right, yeah. I don't got nothing to do. Like, all right, I'm free. And so, and then another friend of mine's named Rashad, and AKA Spit, wearing his shirt, whatever, Forbes.
Yeah.
So he came to me like
for the culture, and Rashad came together. Dope.
Exactly. So he came to me. We was working up. He was like, yo, like, I have a website. You want to write for my website? You have free range. You can write anything you want. So I was like, all right. So mind you, this is me in my mid-20s. So I was writing like a lot of like just
raunchy shit.
Not even raunchy shit, just things I was thinking or like emo shit or just going through the stages of dating.
Yeah.
And so I was writing
women that stress up your whole journey.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah. Okay. So I was writing a lot of self-reflecting stuff. And then like we moved on to a podcast together, and then then I start writing like a short story series for like all right, time out. So I always task myself with these crazy, like, for a regular person to be impossible feats. Like I wrote a short story series for 1 week. Okay. Not 1 week, for 1 year. Every news story for every week. And yeah, the shit was crazy, but I loved it so much, and I just ended up doing it. And so after a while, like writing for both websites, it was super dedication. Yeah. So I kind of just felt like, yo, I'm writing for everybody else, making everybody else money. I need to make my own money.
Facts.
And so that's why I said, you know what? It wasn't me. I can't credit myself. I can credit an article I was reading. It was this writer of Green Lantern in the 90s. He was saying that when he's at Comic Cons, people will come up to him and say, hey, how can I get into the comic book industry? And he always answers that, write pretty much independent comics. You can, where we are right now with the market is you can write anything at any time, because what do we all in this room have with us is our cell phone.
Right.
You don't have to go to a comic book store. You don't have to sit here and subscribe.
I can make a comic book in my phone?
You can, or not even that. You just can pick up, put this website in.
Yeah.
Boom. It's right there.
Right.
At all times.
Yeah.
And so reading that article and seeing that, it was like, yo, I could do that. Like, I don't got nothing else to do. And so from there, I just was like, all right, like, what is the idea? Whereas though my idea was never just go superhero. My idea was always to go with either thought-provoking or everyday,
SpongeBob SquarePants type flow. Like, where'd you go?
I went everyday, like, common shit. Like, I think of Seinfeld, but pretty much Seinfeld, but just for everyday people and they're black.
Dope.
And so that was kind of the idea, that just create something that, that some shit that I've been through, my daily life, or the stuff that my friends been through, or
it's like Atlanta. I'll tune into that.
Exactly.
You can do a show too.
And so that was
available for that too. I'm starting an acting career, y'all. I see.
So yeah, that was the idea. It was like, let's make a story that where anyone could read and say, that has happened to me. If it's from a crazy ex-girlfriend, from just a friend turning into a pretty much sex ship, then turn it into something more major as a wife.
What did he say?
A sex ship, yo. That's not a friendship.
That's another podcast.
That is. That's a whole nother podcast. So
Say less.
So pretty much
That's a dope little comic though.
So yeah, that's
like
where
another
it went.
sidebar. Right?
So that's where it went. I came up with the idea of My Life in Petri Dish.
Okay.
And the idea for the name for My Life in Petri Dish is its meaning for God's comedy. So it's God looking down the Petri dish. Okay. So that's how it. So that was always the premise of it, and just followed these four friends and their daily lives, and if it's not dealing with work, if it's not dealing with pretty much relationships, friends, one friend actually was based after two of my friends, one my friend Sheldon and my friend Rashad, and it was because they both stoners. So and like they both stoners, and like the running joke with me and a few of our friends with Rashad was like, "What do you do for a living?" He was like Tommy for
nothing
for years. And
so we had this dude that lived on my couch, like for real, that lived on my couch, especially in Atlanta, like for like a year. Like that's my man. But like we all got that friend,
exactly,
real life,
exactly. So it went from
especially in Atlanta.
So like it went from each character was like an element of some of my friends, and just followed just their lives, just the shit that they went through, and it was more of a comedy. And like each year, it was a 5-year run.
Okay.
And again, back to these impossible feats. So it was a 5-year run I put out, and pretty much it just was just these friends, just each year had a theme.
Okay.
And so that was like my first major webcomic for my website. And then it just went on to other things. It went on to a comic called Scavenger Hunt. And the whole idea was it was a time traveling adventure story that they're trying to repair their timeline.
You know that show on HBO?
What show?
The time traveling. It's like the brother time travels. There are all types of monsters, journeys in it. Schmollett's sister. They just
fucking
Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country.
That shit was fire.
Jam.
That shit was fire.
You need a Lovecraft Country.
That shit was fire.
We're gonna get you a Lovecraft Country.
I would love a fucking Lovecraft Country.
I'm a star in it.
Okay.
I'm trying to retire. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You might die twice in the show.
I don't care if I die, but if I'm good.
But you will be resurrected. I got you.
All right, say like so. So for people who want to get into comics, like what would you tell them today if you were yourself at 8 years old when you realize, I really fuck with this comic book thing? What would you tell them to do, or where would you tell them to start?
I would tell them, the internet, man. Like it sounds so simplistic, but the internet is literally like fucking king. Yeah. Like, think about this. And think of it as, look at Twitter, look at fucking TikTok. Like you grab people's attention within seconds. So that's how you gotta treat comics. You gotta treat comics as, I looked at it as the old school comic strips that you have to people reading in newspapers, and it has to grab them right then and there. So I will always say the internet. There are websites, depending on what you're doing. Whereas for me, I'm a writer. I can't draw.
Right.
I wish I could, but I can't.
Figure it out.
But I hire people.
That's so great. Yeah.
I hire people to do these things. So even with that, I would say start so micro as short stories. Short stories. If you are, especially if you're a great writer, you will build yourself to be a greater writer. Right. If you know in your heart, like, I can create, I can make stories, I can tell a story. As you create short stories, you're going to become a better writer. And I believe in writing every day. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to something that is your norm, but also out the norm at the same time.
Yeah, if you don't work it, you lose it, right?
Exactly. That's so you have places like a Tumblr, you have Facebook, there are writing a WordPress. You have places that you can go and just put your stories or your ideas out there into the world.
Okay.
And I would say start there and just build from there with comics. There are websites of, I think Deviant Art that so I found a lot of my artists that I would literally go to them and say, hey. What's your rates?
If you're gonna write a comic book, remember that Deviant Art.
Yes,
Okay.
Deviant Art. And even with comics, there's so much to it. Like, it's not just the script.
Right.
Scripting is, I want to say, the most easiest part.
Really?
Oh, it is. It really is the most easiest part for me, because when we get into the part where as though you're dealing with the artist actually like paneling to creating a storyboard,
Right.
it's one thing, and then you got the anchor, you have the colorist, you have the letterer. It's like it's so much steps.
It's very involved. So if you were to give folks a gem as we like get ready to hop out, any gems as an entrepreneur or as a comic book writer for that kid who is 8 years old and is like, yo, I like this writing thing, or I love X-Men. Yo, what do I do?
My gem for them is pretty much be the most confident person in the room. You cannot succeed in anything if you don't believe in yourself. Yo, you gonna get many people say, nah, yo, that shit ain't that, or that's whack. Because we all are whack at one point.
Yep.
Yo, even Michael Jordan got cut from his basketball team, yo.
Yep.
Like, so in high school. So you're always not as good as you think you are.
Right.
But yo, build up on your craft. Believe in yourself. If you're your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah. And you're your only competition too, right?
Really. And you know what? It took me, I want to say, when you're in your 20s, you're so arrogant. You're like, yo, I'm that guy.
I'm the shit.
Exactly. And you're like, yo, I'm doing this. People,
you couldn't tell me I was on the board.
Exactly. And then when people sit here criticizing your shit, you're like, yo, why are you criticizing me?
Who's this boy?
Like, who the fuck are you? And so you have to believe past that, because there's going to be tons of people that's going to criticize everything you do. And it's your job to say, take little pieces of that, saying, you know what? Maybe let me relook at this.
Right.
You know what? You might have been right, but let me better this.
Right.
And so it's your job to always better yourself every day, as a creator, as a writer, as an artist, anything.
As a man, as a woman.
Exactly.
Keep going. But just hit us with, so where do we find your comic? How do I buy your comic? How do I tune in online? All that good stuff.
Actually, my comic's free. It's free.
What?
It's free of charge.
I'm there.
So my my website is called mylifeantics.com. So like this is my cup, and life as this is my life, and antics as just the bullshit that comes with life.com. Or you can even follow me on Instagram. It's Sire CIRE_found. Really, it's my name backwards. You can find me.
That's so random, bro.
Yeah.
I never even realized that.
Yeah, right. And even like my name on Instagram, it's an anagram of my actual whole name.
That's weird.
Because at one point, because I wanted to be like real like incognito, because I was that guy that was anti like Instagram and shit.
Yeah.
And then like somehow I slid in, and I was like, yo, I don't want people to find me, but people found me, like all my friends. So yeah, you can check all my work out. It's completely free. Right now, currently I'm putting out this one comic series called Frank, and it's about a black detective from Chicago, or based in Chicago, and it's one story that is, I guess, I want to say means a lot to me, because it originally started in my short story series, and it's one story that, I feel as though, I never seen really many.
We're gonna get our Lovecraft Country, y'all.
No, we're gonna get our Lovecraft
Country. I'm sorry, Michael B. Jordan, you can't do it.
But you're gonna have to be shirtless with
I'm not
oil.
going shirtless, bro. Pause.
We might put fake braids in your hair.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you.
My man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yo, I love you too, bro.
Thank y'all for tuning in the session.
Thank you.
Definitely appreciate you for coming through.
Thank you. Bro. Anytime for you.
We got to have you back for the kids for sure.
Oh, man. I'm here.
I love it.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.